What's up, fam? Welcome to the Messy Action Podcast, where I plan to teach you to use messy action to finally level up in all aspects of your life. We will be talking all things health and fitness, business, relationships, and more. I'm your host, Courtney Lombardo. Now let's get into the show. Take 525,000. Okay, what's up, fam? We made it back for another episode. I'd say that's a solid streak for a messy action taker. No, honestly, guys, this has been a very humbling experience making this entire podcast. I have such a respect for all podcasters and producers. I do see why people outsource this, okay? But in Courtney Lombardo fashion, I had to fumble around and try for myself. I learned a lot, and I'm excited to just kind of move forward and get better and better. But thanks for being here nonetheless. So today, without further ado, I do want to get into what my fitness journey has been and, really talk about my entire transformation as a human being and where I kind of was post-sports to where I am now. It's a very interesting story, and I'm excited to kind of motivate and inspire you to find some of these areas in your life to also level up in. But yeah, so I just want to preface this entire conversation that I am a social media account that posts a lot of transformation stuff. My TikTok's a bunch of transformation, and when I say transformation on social media, a lot of it, without reading the caption or the words, is just gonna look physical, right? It's appealing to the eye. It's how I'm gaining traction to inspire y'all. But at the end of the day, that doesn't tell the whole story. I'm not able to portray to you like how my mental state has gone from one to another, or how my relationships have gone from one to another with just those photos. And it does feel shallow to me some days, which is frustrating and maybe my own mindset. However, I want to just use this episode to dive a little bit deeper into what a full transformation can really look and, more importantly, feel like, right? So without further ado, come on, let's get into it and let's get motivated. All right, guys, so getting started, to most people's journeys, I would say 90% of people have a pivot point, right? And that pivot point is typically a negative emotional response. A negative emotional response to me means a moment in time that didn't feel good, and clearly it was negative, and it's an emotional response, right? You're crying, you're upset, you're angry. Something had to cause you to want to make a change, right? And that could be anything for anyone. That could be going to a dressing room, trying on jeans. You don't like all the jeans. It's so frustrating. It could be someone making a comment to a significant other, saying something about your body, or just someone random on the streets. Like the ways that this response could come about is endless. For me, happened in the Grand Canyon. Very unique, right? I was actually on a helicopter ride with my friend's family. They were nice enough to take me on this vacation. They took me on multiple vacations with them. And this one so happened that we were going to do a helicopter ride in the Grand Canyon. At this point in my life and in my journey, I was not weighing myself. I was terrified of it. I knew every time I went to the doctors, it was always going up. So then I just stopped. I was at the point in my journey where I was just watching the YouTube videos and not actually doing anything about it. And I'll never forget Whitney Simmons told me she didn't weigh herself. So I wasn't weighing myself, okay? Helicopter ride, you had to weigh yourself, okay? They had to balance out the helicopter. And this moment was about post 2 years post sports, okay? And post sorority and post binge drinking, and I was drinking 3 to 4 nights a week, blacking out. Yeah. So anyways, I was mortified at this point. I knew I had gained quite a bit of weight. I hadn't gone to the doctors for a little bit, and I sat on the scale and I was mortified. And then part 2 to being mortified, I was paired with the pilot. So I got the front row seat, so some people would be happy, right? But I'm looking over at the pilot and I'm like, it's like a 6-foot man and a muscular dude, a big dude. And how do I equal the same weight? That was shocking to me. And then just looking back on those photos from that exact trip, I'm like, who is she? How did I let myself get there? So for me, that was the moment, right? After that trip, it changed everything. That's when I actually started putting action to everything I was doing. And I just kind of was like, I won't feel this way ever again. Like, I just won't. So that was my big pivot point. And again, that's not everyone's situation. Not everyone's going to have that, like, epiphany. But, you know, you have them time to time. Use it. You know, use that as momentum into your motivation. However, we can talk about it later, but we can't let that be the only way we are continuing on our journey, because then we're not sustainable. It's not sustainable, right? If our only way to sustain our journey is a negative emotional response, I promise you'll fall off, right? Because that is so frustrating. But I'll move on. We won't talk about that just yet. So, kind of moving forward into my journey, getting started, one of the biggest factors to like genuinely transforming my life was the gaining of confidence. Growing up, you know, historically, was not a very confident girly. I always had a very sparky personality. I was very bubbly, but on the other hand, like, I was very reserved, right? So it was a little bit of both. But going way, way back, you know, being in high school and in middle school, like, I would get red-faced. I felt trapped. I didn't want to talk to people who were, quote-unquote, prettier than me or popular. Like, I very much so kept to myself and my friend group. And, you know, finally leaving high school and stuff, I already kind of gained a little bit of confidence. But even, you know, bigger was going into the weight room for the first time. I'm a former athlete, so I've lifted before. I've been in group settings. Like, I sort of knew how to lift, but, like, not enough to, like, strut my stuff right over to the squat rack with all the frat boys and be like, "Who got this?" No. So it really, my confidence really sparked at the end of sophomore year, going into sophomore year summer, right? So I just had started going to the gym again. I was for sure kind of a cardio bunny because I was pretty scared to go into the weight section, and I knew how to run. I didn't like running. Like, I was the girl on the soccer team that would, like, literally cry if my coach mentioned Indian runs. And I know, okay, we probably shouldn't call them that, but I digress. But moving forward into that, I definitely found my confidence in the gym. And it was by taking that first, like, leap of faith in myself to just be like, one day, like, there was this distinct line, I know, like, in my rec center where, like, if you walked over it, it was like, I called it the dark side to my friends who I would go with. But that's truly how I, like, first started. It was like, I drug my friends. I was like, hey, I saw this on Instagram. I want to try it. Or I saw this on YouTube. Like, please come with me. Like, I was that girl who needed, like, a friend to do it with her. And, like, that's hard for me to admit because I'm a very independent human. So, like, even to be like, hey, you can come, like, that was big for me. But that was pivotal, right? And then kind of moving forward, it really, like, defined my year of fitness and lifestyle transformation. That sophomore year was pivotal in general. Once I took that first step over the gym floor, like, not right away did I gain the confidence I needed, but I did need, like, a few sessions with a friend to come with me. And then after that, I was more comfortable with going and trying new things. You know, I was watching YouTube. I was getting excited about Whitney Simmons, Hannah Oberg, KK Fit. Like, those were my top girls. I would literally watch their YouTube videos. I would write down all the things, and then I would go and I would try it, right? And it was really fun. You know, fitness was fun for me, and it changed my perspective on a lot of things in my life. Like, I really only wanted to make time for that, school, my sorority, and then, like, friends, of course, at that point in my life. So that really changed, right? And then, hold up, I need my notes, guys. Like, I'm trying to be good at this, but one of the bigger changes I had to make came my junior year, right? So sophomore year was kind of like the spark for me, the ignition of my journey. Junior year is when I really got into it. You know, I was having a lot of fun. I was buying all the leggings. I was watching the YouTubes. I was finally started buying meal prep containers and buying, like, different foods. Like, they weren't the best, but, like, I would buy, like, Kodiak cake muffins or, like, all these other crazy, like, fad dieting things. But, like, it was my first time ever doing something like that. So I was proud of myself nonetheless, because, yeah, girl, I was a picky eater. Like, I would not even eat a piece of lettuce or cilantro. Oh my gosh, get that away from me. You know, like, I was picky. So for me to just even start changing some of my eating habits, especially as a former athlete, that was huge. So junior year was very pivotal in general, though, in my, like, regular life, I guess we could call it. In my sorority, actually, my big had passed away towards, like, mid-year, and that was kind of an eye-opener for me as far as, like, asking myself why I was in the sorority, okay, because I was just like, I have good friends, I don't necessarily have the time any longer with, like, school and being in the gym and stuff, and my big was a huge mentor and a reason why I stayed in the sorority for as long as I did. So after her passing, which was obviously awful for me, very hard, the gym became my, like, therapy at that moment. That's when it kind of switched to being a little bit something else for me. Oof. I'm all about resilience, y'all. It was healing for me to be able to just have that, like, oasis, especially away from school and away from everyone talking about the situation. Like, I absolutely needed that, and junior year just from there became kind of a wreck, and there's a few other things that happened in my life that, like, I'm not even comfortable sharing just yet, and hey, maybe we'll gain this, like, relationship here soon where we can really dive into it, but I want y'all to know, like, the gym can mean different things to you at different times in your journey, and that's okay, right? It can be your discipline for some seasons. It can be your therapy for other seasons. It can be, like, your playground for other seasons. Like, the gym doesn't always have to be a place where you have to be. It can be fun. But moving forward, after all those, like, difficult events, the gym was something else. And then moving forward, after junior year, senior year came around, and I really just stepped into fully doing what I wanted to do. Like, I had dropped the sorority, I started taking all the classes I wanted to, I changed my degree completely, and I already had all the prereqs because I was gonna do, like, PT or just, like, something in the medical field. So I already was on the right track, but I fully switched to nutrition, exercise, and health sciences. And I was like, I know I want to be, like, a personal trainer or just still, like, in the realm of, like, maybe rehab or working out, whatever. I need that. But then I saw that I could sign up for a personal training class. So I was like, oh, heck yeah, let's do it. I was getting so excited at this point. Like, I was just nerding out about the whole thing. So I signed up for that class, and within that, I got my certification. And then I started training at the rec center. So once I started to be able to help and motivate other people, y'all, that skyrocketed my journey, if we're going to be super honest. That's why I tell all my clients to this day, like, let yourself inspire others, because that really solidifies what you're doing. And, that sort of repercussion, like, you can see that and gives you gratification. So then you're more invested, and then they're invested. And it's just this awesome tumbleweed sort of situation. And then that's when I really started to finally see the transformation in my body. I was getting consistent, I was eating different, and I was getting excited about it. Like, I started taking pictures, and I was like, I'm gonna make an Instagram. I'm gonna start, putting these up there and maybe recording my workouts and stuff. And, like, I've got it all on there. If y'all wanna go expose me, go do it, because you can go scroll all the way down to when I first got started. But that was another level of accountability for me. At this point, I had never hired a coach yet. I was doing it all on my own. I was just fiddling through it. And a lot of people aren't like this. So I wanna, like, preface this entire conversation with that. Not everyone wants to learn to the extent I did, right? And if I would have hired a coach a little bit sooner, could that have expedited this entire journey? Probably. But I don't know if I'd be where I am today without doing that on my own. So that's just personal preference. That's who I was. With that all being said, I mean, not to, like, fast forward the whole thing, but I basically, was training for a while. COVID hit, so I couldn't train any of those clients anymore. A lot of them were foreign exchange, so they didn't really, they actually had to go home, so I really couldn't train them in person. And a few of them I took online, actually, and then I just started following some online coaches in the industry, and I saw what they were doing. I was like, I could probably do that, like, a little bit, like, because I still was having a bunch of family and friends ask me how I was doing it. Like, I was really seeing, like, probably 30 to 40 pounds of weight loss at this point, like, still in college, which, ladies, if you're in college and you think you can't start a fitness journey, yes, you can. Yes, you can, girl. But what was I saying? Tough, very tough. Anyways, so during COVID, I actually started working at a supplement shop because I was like, why not? Little extra hours for a little something something. And that supplement shop was dead because of COVID. So I would just like sit there during my 8-hour, 9-hour shifts and like build a business. Like I would make all these like Excel sheets. I would make all the things that I was seeing other online coaches do. I was definitely doing it all on my own. It was definitely not where it is today. I love looking back at some of that stuff, but that is kind of how I got my start in my coaching business. With COVID and everything, I finally graduated, and pretty much right after graduation, I moved to Arizona. So to rewind a little bit, I knew I wanted to leave this state. I was talking to this boy named Andrew, and he had just moved to Arizona 6 months ago. So while I'm building my business, while I'm in COVID, finishing school, I'm also long distance with Andrew. And that was tough, but like I definitely poured myself into building like my business, my fitness, and like just finishing school. So I was distracted enough that it wasn't awful. But I did move with my best friend Kayla at the time, and we went to Arizona right after graduation. It was literally the day after my birthday, and once I got here, I worked at a 9-to-5, kind of 9-to-5. It was a PT tech position for about 6 to 7 months. I absolutely hated it. I would wake up so early to make sure I could get my lifts in still. I would try to film. I never really had time. I still wanted to build my business. I still wanted to build my online like growth. So it was just like a very frustrating time for me because I wasn't finding passion with what I was doing. And I didn't think I needed to, right? Because it was a tech position. So I tried to like convince myself that like that was okay. But at the end of the day, it wasn't okay. I was burnt out. They were overworking me. They were underpaying me for sure. And it was super toxic. And I know I'm saying all that, and then I'm going to tell you what happened. And you're like, okay, Courtney. But genuinely, like that is how I felt. I did get fired. Guys, I had never thought, like growing up ever, I was like, I am Courtney Lombardo. I do get along with like a lot of people, and that's not even me just having a big head. It's just like I don't struggle with that, right? But I do want to be vulnerable with you guys right now because like getting fired after just moving out to a whole new state that I wasn't even super happy in, you know? I knew 2 people, and again, I was used to having a large friend group back home and someone to always count on. So Arizona was hard for me for a little bit, and then getting fired was just like, how would I ever recover? It felt detrimental to me. It felt awful, right? And then from there, like, Arizona felt tough, right? I got the part-time job, and I really tried to just do my business in that, and then money was tight, and it was just such a struggle. 2021 was really tough. But nonetheless, I pushed through. I did the part-time job. I worked on my business, and in 2022, I was given the option to change my life by the world, by TikTok, by God, whoever you want to thank. One of my videos went viral on just my transformation, and then another on being like a former athlete. And from there, I was able to scale my business to 6 figures, hire 3 people in 1 year, get merch, and now I'm here talking to y'all because I've helped over 200 plus women. And this is not like a CTA, like I genuinely wanted to just kind of explain my story and all that I went through so you know a little bit more about me. And I don't want to drag on anymore, so I'm going to call it kind of to the finale. But that is kind of all that I've gone through in the last probably 4 years of my life. So you can do it, and I'm excited to kind of help y'all just kind of take those steps with me because I do feel like I'm a woman of action. The things that I've done have led me here. Like, I don't call it luck at all. Like, yes, my TikTok blew up, and a lot of people in my life want to be like, oh, that's so lucky, like, I wish I could do that too, or I wish that would happen to me, and I'm like, y'all, I've been working my butt off for this. I've been nothing but consistent with my fitness journey, with my business, with my relationships. Like, I have persevered, and of course I'm not perfect, and I can't wait to talk about all my failures. But this is just the beginning of it all. So thanks for coming back for episode 2. I'm excited to continue on this journey. Next episode, I'm gonna have a little guest, so stay tuned.